Now, let's face it, chums, how many of us have actually sat down and enjoyed, all thanks to the wonderful world of YouTube, those old TV shows that we truly enjoyed, remember? Who remembers things like Cannon? Yeah, Frank Cannon. Used to love that show, didn't you? And when you think about it now in today's modern age, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way at all, but he wouldn't necessarily get in the force, would he? Because all of these big bosses of the police departments in New York City, he's like the guy that ran, do you remember, in Cagney and Lacey, he was the boss. And he never looked particularly fit, did he? But suddenly you had these glamorous girls running up and down getting the criminals. Now, of course, this is the thing when you look back at wonderful TV shows. And one of the ones that I truly used to enjoy growing up when I was a kid was Brilliant Ironside, starring Raymond Burr. And recently it was interesting going through, as I say, some old tapes and things like that you do, looking at previous interviews where I was talking to a wonderful actor who'd had an opportunity to be in an episode of Ironside. But the backstory about exactly what went wrong between him and a co-star was truly fascinating. As ever, let me explain. Morning, good to see you, chums. Thank you so much for joining me today. And as ever, welcome one and all brand new subscribers. Do you like those old shows? Or are you like me? I just think they were better done, you know? It doesn't matter what you watch, whether it's the comedy stuff of Rhoda, Mary Tyler Moore, Cloris Leachman, they were just better produced, better written and executed storyboards. It's like over here, I was saying to a friend recently that when you watch the old episodes of Coronation Street, particularly the 70s ones where you had the likes of Annie Walker, Bette Lynch, you know, all of that sort of stuff, they were just very well written, lots of pathos, lots of comedy, but very much true to life. Now, when you think about it, somebody like Raymond Burr was a huge star. Right? I mean, there was no two ways about it. He'd been around a long time, never necessarily been the big cheese in the movies, but nonetheless was there opposite all the big names. And consequently, I think Raymond Burr is one of those people that when you turn on a film, you do think, oh, it's going to be good because he's in it. He was a great actor, a Canadian, and of course went back and did a lot of good work for that, but put Canada, as well as being a brilliant actor, I would say, on the map also. But what was lovely about him was he really embodied every part. Now, many of you will remember, which was before my time, Perry Mason, which was a phenomenal TV series, right? And really enjoyed it and all that sort of stuff. When you watch the episodes now, you think, yeah, again, very well written. And if you only looked at the scripts and thought, could we make something like that today? Perhaps they could. Of course, he had big success on TV with Perry Mason, following that up with Ironside. But what was interesting is, before all of that, this particular gentleman, John Forsyth, the man who became Blake Carrington in Dynasty, I had an interview with him and he was telling me a bit of background story regarding a co-star of Raymond Burr's called brilliant Barbara Stanwyck, right? Now, they starred in a movie called Crime of Passion. And what was interesting about Crime of Passion for that particular period, 1956, it was a sort of film noir, but that sort of genre had moved on and they were hoping to sort of reignite it to try and get people to go back into the movies. Remember, they tried CinemaScope, that hadn't quite worked, so now they were trying this. But what was fascinating about this, as John pointed out, was that Raymond Burr and Barbara Stanwyck got on but didn't get on, you know what I mean, celebrity-wise. They sort of knew they were good in films together, knew they were good on screen, but they weren't the best of buddies until later. Both had their own big TV series, him with Perry Mason, her with the Barbara Stanwyck show, and hers didn't do as well as his. Consequently, she was the big star in the movies, right? So fast forward, and it was suggested by bosses that maybe Barbara could appear in Perry Mason and latterly Ironside. But Barbara wasn't really keen on guest starring in anything. She liked to be her own person. So the bosses, once Ironside had finished, decided that what about turning those two into a sort of crime-fighting married duo? And when you think about it, good idea. Both big names could pull in a big audience. It never truly worked out, according to John Forsyth, simply because either one wanted more money or the other wanted bigger billing, and CBS got a bit fed up waiting around. And so consequently, what you saw a few years later through the Aaron Spelling stable was the brilliant Stephanie Powers and Heart to Heart alongside Robert Wagner. That was the genesis of the original idea with Barbara Stanwyck and Raymond Burr. And as John Forsyth pointed out to me, you see, the trouble with Hollywood is all these great ideas look great on paper and they are marvellous and they are going to do wonders, but then you have to deal with the ego of the celebrity. Now, many years later, of course, John co-starred opposite Barbara Stanwyck in the Colby spin-off for Dynasty, and he said she was as formidable as Raymond Burr had pointed out. But he said nonetheless she was a brilliant actress who could command the screen and the set. And as he pointed out, what a shame that they never regrouped in the golden age of television for us to now simply enjoy all over again. The good thing is, though, at least we have the movies. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.